Hi guys. I've been asked about the impact that the rape has had on my life. And I thought about it quite hard. And I thought, actually, what I can do is I can read out the victim impact statement that was read out in court that I wrote. Now, to make it fair to the family, etc., I'm not going to read it verbatim or read names out because that's not fair. So initially it was addressed to the Lord Justice Shaw, which was the judge in the case. Then I go on to state that I am still undecided as to whether I will go to court and read it out or not due to the range of emotions that I was experiencing. Then it goes into the history. I first met the person around March 2004 at a pub named The Castle, which was the gay bar in Norwich. Goes on to explain that I was relatively new to the scene and going out clubbing and partying in Norwich and had never been in a relationship or seen anyone before. I then went on to state that the view that I now have is that I was actually used as a taxi service to take him to and from his parents' address, which was close to where the incident happened. Then I'll read this bit verbatim. In May of 2004, when the rape took place, I was 19. I was still developing into an adult. Through the rape happening has impacted development of me into an adult. The average male is fully developed at the age of 25. Then I go on to state about a hospital stay, which was in 2004, post the incident. As the court heard, I landed up spending a long period of time in hospital, with surgery being required to remove my appendix. However, the surgeon later disclosed to me it was only partially inflamed and the symptoms I had displayed were not like appendicitis. However, that had to be removed due to the pain and discomfort that I was in. Following the initial discharge, I was then required to attend hospital on 2 further occasions where I needed medical attention. During this period of post-recovery, I wasn't paid. Had a lot of pressure on me and my mother during this period, which caused a lot of stress and arguments. My mum was unaware of the incident happening until my second hospital stay. At this point, I advised her I'd been sexually assaulted. However, I didn't go into the detail of the event of the rape. My mum was upset and angry, and she didn't know which way to turn to support me. When I disclosed to the gastroenterology team what had happened in detail, my file was reviewed. They believe a lot of what I've suffered during the inpatient visits related to the rape and an infection in the stomach. There was a likelihood of a sexually transmitted infection. However, due to the level of antibiotics that were prescribed, this was never able to be evidence. My mum, along with my uncle, felt that they had to inform my grandparents of my sexuality, following the lengthy stay in hospital as they were concerned about my health. This led to them initially disowning me, informing me that I needed to seek help as I was already at a challenging point in my life, suffering rejection from my grandparents who I was extremely close with. This was extremely hard to deal with. I was able to rebuild my relationship with them, however, it took a lot of time and effort. After trying to deal with so much trauma from being in hospital for such a long period of time, I shouldn't have felt pressured to tell my grandparents about my sexuality. I received the diagnosis of autism, which mental health have advised classes me as a vulnerable adult. As heard in my evidence, I reported to the police in 2004. However, because of being unwell for such a long period of time and family members, and me being quite naive, worried about the press, I wasn't able to take it any further. And I go on to state that I blame myself for this. Then I go on to explain that hospitals become a trigger for me. Each time I would visit the hospital, I'd struggle to even walk through the doors. I would see flashbacks from the night of the rape and struggle to attend on my own. I would often have to take family members with me. My stomach has never been the same since. I've been under numerous consultants, which have led to a lot of hospital appointments. I still have regular thoughts of unaliving myself, and this has continued throughout my life so far, with regular bouts of depression that have been put down to a diagnosis of persistent mood disorder. This itself, I've been informed by the psychiatrist, relates to the rape when it happened, disrupting my development. In 2005, I turned to other means of dealing with the rape, and this also led to running up a quantity of debt on credit cards. This was my way of dealing with trauma. In 2006, I joined the fire service as an on-call firefighter. Doing this for the community gave me something to focus on to live for. It helped me to gain confidence around people and stop me from taking anything that I shouldn't, and helped me to deal with everyday life. However, I struggled a lot when I started the fire station to mix with people. It was like a male dominated environment. I felt awkward, and it was only with someone that I now class as my best friend beginning that I was able to come out of my shell and the crew began to accept me. 2006, I was seen by the chronic fatigue syndrome and diagnosed with chronic fatigue. It was documented this was due to the raping trauma. I was re-diagnosed with that again in 2021 when everything came to light and came to head. It was believed that was due to the trial that caused the flare-up. Acting as a prison officer during the years of 2008 to 2017, I assessed numerous offenders at risk of suicide or self-harm. This angered me and led me to flashbacks. In 2006, I met my partner, who I was with for a long period of time. However, there were numerous trust issues there, and building the relationship was extremely hard. The rape caused a lack of sex drive and various flashbacks at times. That was extremely difficult. In 2018, I was part of the jury that consisted of a case that related to sexual abuse. This played on my mind, brought back a lot of intrusive flashbacks, no sleep, reliving the event, tearfulness, and a long bout of not coping. This led to me being referred to secondary mental health. 2018, I was diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, a form of personality disorder that was all believed to be due to the rape. I contacted the police in 2018 and re-reported it. It took until June 22 for the person to be charged and the trial to commence in October of 2023. The amount of stress and symptoms of PTSD, reliving the event over and over during the video interviews for the police, rewatching the video interviews, fed to my mental health failing. Anger was something I was experiencing at this point, especially in finding out there were some lies told within the courtroom. There's a part around the family there that I'm not going to read out because it's not fair. In 2016, I was seriously assaulted in the prison service. I landed up on restricted duties during that period. In 2017, I landed up having to leave my job as a prison officer due to being assaulted. That was hard to deal with because of the flashbacks of the assault. The previous time I was assaulted was a rape. In 2020, I had 2 segments of bowel removed. I refused to be treated in hospital without being given a side room. I didn't want to land up in a bay with other male patients. I was scared of being exploited, and I was extremely worried as to what was going to happen whilst I was asleep. I've fallen behind my university work, for which I've been struggling with due to the trial. I have since gone back to work as a non-operational member of staff within HMPPS. I struggle with all male meetings, male line managers, or attending the office. Reasonable adjustments have had to be made to make this so I am supported. I have had to explain myself time and time again to everyone that this has happened to me, and this is the reason why I need adjustments to be made. This isn't fair, and it's often led to more issues with shame, guilt, and fear. It's important to understand that it's not just me that suffered and struggled with this, but also family, friends, and work colleagues. Without some of these people supporting me today, there's a strong chance that I would not be here today. Shortly, I will be commencing long-term therapy to look towards assisting with the flashbacks and the triggers, and hopefully it will help. I will have to live with the effects of this throughout the rest of my life. That was it. Please bear in mind that this was written at the time of the court case. I have been through so much therapy since then, it is unreal. I don't struggle with the flashbacks, but the flashbacks are still there. I don't struggle with the rape actually happening with itself because obviously there's justice that has been done there. And I'm just trying to share the impact that it had, not only on me, but also other people. And that's a really, really important fact to remember. Sorry, it's a long video. It's gone on for 9 minutes 24. But I thought some people might find that quite useful.